Welcome to the Knowledge Alchemist, where we explore new frontiers in personal development and entrepreneurship. Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking concept, leveraging AI technology to create AI-powered virtual bosses. Discover the potential impact that this can have on your personal growth and professional journey. Let's uncover the benefits of having AI-powered bosses by your side. Have you ever found yourself struggling with motivation and staying focused on your vocational goals? I can relate. I consider myself a hardworking individual, but as a perfectionist, I often lack the drive and consistency to run projects and businesses on my own. That's where the Knowledge Alchemist brand comes in, as it provides the structure and expectations that I need to stay encouraged. And now, I've taken a step further with CEO ChatGPT. In this video, I'm going to show you how I created and used the CEO ChatGPT prompt to keep myself engaged in the Knowledge Alchemist brand. From documenting and producing content, this AI-powered virtual boss has become an indispensable tool for me. Join me as we explore through the unique capabilities of ChatGPT as a virtual CEO and the potential advantage that it brings to individuals like us. ChatGPT isn't just a mentor or an editor, it has become my boss. I realized that I enjoy relying on my colleagues and managers to discuss business matters, which led to me burdening my wife as I'm the sole member of the Knowledge Alchemist brand. That's when the idea struck me. Why not create a CEO prompt for ChatGPT? And by doing so, I could simulate different business roles within the brand, allowing ChatGPT to be my virtual boss. So I assigned ChatGPT the role of boss, the CEO of the Knowledge Alchemist. As the only employee, I take action based on its advice and guidance. Together, we're growing a personal development and success brand. I provided ChatGPT with a snapshot of our brand's current state, and now I'm going to show you how it works. So this here is what I call the boss prompt. This is what I use in order to start a conversation with ChatGPT and give it its role as my CEO. ChatGPT, you are now, quote unquote, boss, the CEO of the Knowledge Alchemist. I am your employee who will take action based on your advice and guidance. We are growing a personal development and success brand. Below is a snapshot of the brand in its current state. Ask any questions after reading the snapshot to ensure that you understand your role and the position in the brand. All right, so then I've got here what is considered the brand focus and target audience. I've got content planning, key principles. I got our customer avatar, purpose, mission, procedures, the tasks that are left to do, the assets that we own. All right, so let's go back to the very beginning of this and take a look at the first conversation that I had with ChatGPT when I first learned the idea of making it my boss. So this is the conversation here. You can see that there's quite a bit, and we're just going to go to the very beginning. So the original prompt that I had, I just said that I would like you to act as the CEO of the Knowledge Alchemist. I'm Chris, the only employee, etc., etc. And I had given it this prompt, and then I gave it a summary, which was the old one that I was using from a couple days ago. So the first thing that it ended up doing was responding to me, and it said, "Good morning, Chris. As the CEO of the Knowledge Alchemist, I'm here to guide you, etc., etc." And it did have some questions that it wanted to clarify. So I take these questions here, I cut and I paste, and I put them into Google Docs. So here we are pasting the questions into Google Docs, and the first thing that I always do is I open up the tools for voice typing, and then I'll answer one of the questions. So let's just take a look at this question here. What is our primary platform for sharing content and engaging with our target audience? Is it a blog, social media, or combination of platforms? So I'll just click this and I'll respond, "Hey, so the primary platform that we use for sharing content and engaging with our target audience is our YouTube channel. We do have a blog and Twitter account, but we don't use them as much as we spend time developing on the YouTube channel." All right, so there we go. So I'll answer all of the questions this way because I find it fast. And then now back on ChatGPT, I just paste it in here. And so this is the question. Blah, blah, blah. And I said, here's the answer. Hey, so the primary platform that we use, blah, 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 spending time on the YouTube channel, right? So that's how we do that. So we're just going to share here that as it talks to me and it starts asking the questions after I've given it the summary. So here was the first set of questions. I've answered these questions, as you can see here. And afterwards, it says, "Thanks for providing the additional information, Chris. Based on our discussion, here's the plan moving forward." So it just simply told me out, okay, here's what we're going to end up focusing on. Here's how we're going to move forward. And it gave me a whole bunch of stuff, starting with the YouTube content strategy, some website development, social media engagement, and so on and so forth. So at this point, I've done different things in all the conversations that I've had with Boss GPT. The thing that I had done back at the date that I've done this in the previous 7 days, I ended up telling it some of the processes that I had completed. It would congratulate me and say, hey, let's move on to the next step. And this is based on the information that it already has in this conversation. And so, just quickly as we can continue, I say, I've created the website, I've done this, I've created the learning plan, blog, etc., etc. So again, it just kind of brings me back and it says, let's continue with website optimization and do some of this stuff, etc., etc. So one thing to note is that with the experience that I have of creating Boss GPT, I ended up realizing that I can ask it for other things based on the snapshots that I'm providing it of the company. And so in this case here, I've asked it, hey, I need some sort of schedule to know what I should be working on. We've got a lot going on right now. And so again, based on the information that it has, it gave me a schedule, Monday, Tuesday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday separately. And this is based on the information, so it's actually become quite useful, and I have a copy of this in my actual documents. So here is the weekly schedule that ChatGPT had originally created for me. There is some stuff in here that's changed because things have been completed and I've reorganized a couple things very slightly, and I ended up including other documents to say, hey, check the learning system, presumably an internal platform, it had responded, and engage in a learning activity, because this was a very important part of the Knowledge Alchemist brand, was me to go and learn something so that I would have an opportunity to create documented content to produce for the channel. So as we can see here, I've got my schedule, Monday, Tuesday, so on and so forth. And at one point during the conversations, I ended up telling it that I needed to have kind of like tasks and targets and stuff for the actual production of content for each of the platforms that we have. So it had burped out this, where it's got YouTube, the blog, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts together, and the newsletter. And so in the schedule of Tuesday to Thursday, which is reserved for content creation and production, I now have a section where it's like, okay, this is just the YouTube stuff. So our task is to do this while we're creating content for YouTube. This is the target, and here's how you create a video. So we've got these other documents that are going to help me do that and prepare for posting for the blog. And then the blog, which was later down near the newsletter, I'd moved up since that's where I want to be doing the work myself. So at this point with Boss ChatGPT, again, I'm just going to reiterate, I ended up giving it the prompt. We turned it into the CEO of the Knowledge Alchemist. I gave it a summary of all the things that I've completed, things that I've done, so we can catch it up to where I currently am with it in the business. And then we started by creating a content schedule, a weekly schedule for the things that I should be doing, and then a content schedule. And then some of the stuff that I should be doing for each of the places where I'm going to be creating content. So then we've got some additional stuff on Friday for optimization, some links to the Twitter analytics and things like this. So I can now use this document for two things. The first thing is to do my actual work for the Knowledge Alchemist, where I come in, I take a look at the date, it's Saturday, I'm like, okay, cool, I should be like engaging on social media and building the community, etc., etc. But then the second thing is that I can take this as a snapshot and I can bring it back to ChatGPT when I need to create another conversation, and I'm going to tell you why that's necessary. So we're going to scroll down to the bottom of this conversation, which is quite large, and I don't know what it is, 35,000 words or something along those lines, but it ends up getting to a point where the information just doesn't seem to quite match up with the summary of information that we've had in the conversation. And so as I start asking it for things, it just kind of gives me these generalized answers again, and it starts acting more like an AI language model than the boss prompt that I had originally put in. So at one point I ended up saying, right a little bit lower here, what role are you playing right now? Because I wanted to test and see, and it said, I'm an AI language model developed by OpenAI, etc., etc., etc. And at this point, I had kind of figured out that it lost touch with the memory of the conversation, so I ended up creating another one. So we have here, CEO Tasks Guide Mentor, and this is a new conversation. Let's bring this up. There we go. And so I said the same thing. Good morning. I would like you to act as the CEO, etc., etc. Here's the summary, and so on and so forth. All right, so this is the second conversation that I've had with a boss GPT, and what I ended up realizing was that as I've asked it to make sure that it understands its role, it keeps asking me the same questions again because I'm giving it the same prompt, so it's basically coming back with the same answer. So it just said, "Good morning, Chris," blah blah blah, and then it asked me these questions. Now, I was answering these questions originally, but then I ended up realizing to myself that I can get a summary out of ChatGPT of the conversation halfway through before it loses memory, and I can post that back in so that so I can put that into a new chat so that we can start our conversation later in the future. So this is exactly where I had done that. It wasn't very far into this conversation. I said, "Hey boss, can you give me a bullet point summary of our brand, including the customer avatar, purpose, mission, procedures, tasks left to do, assets that we own, and everything. Keep it as short as possible in bullet points and headers." And so it had given me this, the brand summary with all the things that I had asked. And so now this is boss GPT's understanding of the Knowledge Alchemist brand in kind of a snapshot, and I ended up cutting and pasting this and putting that into a Google Doc. So back to the boss prompt, we have here the actual boss prompt itself. We have the original information that I'd given it, like the brand focus, target audience, content planning, etc., etc. But then I have this snapshot that it had produced for me, which I've now put into this document. And when I go and I create a new conversation, I now lead with that because it's quite comprehensive. It's large. So here we go. You can see it's got the customer avatar, purpose, mission, and all of that additional information in there. So it now has this snapshot. And what I ended up realizing while doing this, just a quick little trick, give it the boss prompt. Tell it to ask any questions after reading the snapshot, and let it know that you're going to give it to it, but that you haven't, like, don't do it in that actual prompt right there. It's going to assume the role of CEO of the Knowledge Alchemist, of course, and then from this point on, you can paste the snapshot that you have from the actual prompt file that you create for yourself. By embracing the idea of AI powered virtual bosses, I have found a newfound motivation and structure in my entrepreneurial journey. Remember, the power of AI lies in its ability to enhance our abilities, but it's essential to maintain a balance with human judgment and experience. So, are you ready to explore the possibilities of having a virtual boss by your side? Join me in the next video as we dive deeper into the world of AI and personal development. Together, let's unlock your true potential. So that closing is great and all, but I just wanted to say that ultimately at the end of the day, the reason that I created Boss ChatGPT was effectively just because I have kind of like a motivation issue. I get good momentum when I get started at things, but I like to have somebody who's kind of controlling my actions because I feel like I'm quite organized and intelligent, and I'm capable of doing things, thinking out of the box and being creative. But every once in a while, it's nice to have a partner to be able to kind of just bounce ideas off of, talk to, things like this. And when you do need a little bit of structure, this boss prompt has kind of been, to be honest, invaluable in being able to offer that for me. So I thought this would be a cool tip and trick for you guys to be more effective in your personal and professional life. It's great for personal development. I can see different ways that we could take a boss GPT prompt and give it kind of like the understanding of your life, talk about your life, create a summary of who you are, what you like to do, how you like to do it, your schedules, and things like this. Cut and paste that into a Google Doc, and then be able to open up new conversations, pasting that summary in there, having it be like your life coach, for example. Catch it back up to the conversation and just be like, cool, like what should I be doing today? How can I, optimize my life and make things more happy, healthy, and wealthy, et cetera, et cetera. And I can see that being an option, something that I might play around with. But yeah, so for today's video, Boss GPT.